Hi everyone, I'm here today with a card tutorial, and I am using the Cricut Dino Play cartridge. It is full of little dinosaur cuts and it's absolutely adorable. I just got this and I wanted to play with it, so I decided I would make my husband a card. And we're both huge nerds and we love dinosaurs, so I thought it'd be perfect. I'm also using the Imagine More cartridge to fill my papers. So I'm using like the basic patterns that they have to fill the cuts, and I'll show you more about that in a minute. So I am starting with a piece of craft cardstock that's cut at 5 inches by 10 inches, and I've scored it in half as my card base, and I've inked the edges. I have this piece of designer cardstock that was printed from the Imagine More cartridge. It's cut at 6 3/4 of an inch by 4 3/4 of an inch. I have this blue mat that is cut 6 1/2 inches by 4 1/2 inches. And then I have this green strip of paper. This is cut 6 1/2 inches by 1 inch. And I'm going to adhere this to the bottom. And this is going to act like my grass layer. And I've inked all of my edges with some dark brown ink just to bring everything together and make it pop out a little bit more. And now I'm going to adhere this to my reddish orange layer. And now I'm going to adhere this to my card base. So I have a couple of cuts from my cartridge. I have 2 rock formations that I cut. The larger one is 2 1/2 inches and the smaller one is 2.2 inches, and it's flipped horizontally. So these will just go in my background. I have this, let's see. I have this plant. It's cut at 2.2 inches. It's going to kind of nestle behind my rocks. And then I have a palm tree that was cut at 4 inches. I'm going to figure out how I want this. And I'm just going to adhere these straight down. I'm not going to put them on foam or anything. And I'm kind of going to take it to the edge. I'm going to trim off my excess when I finish. But for right now I'm going to let it go over so it will meet the edge and not just touch it. I'm just going to kind of lay this one down. I'm not going to press it down, that way I can move it around if I need to. And then I can just shift everything around until it looks right to me. So I take this and trim it off. And then I'm going to take my ink dauber with my dark brown ink and just ink over that edge so it doesn't stand out. And finally I'm going to add my palm tree. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to trim the edge of my tree base off. And I'm going to ink over it. So this is the background of my card. And now I have my dinosaur. And when I told my husband that I was going to make him a dinosaur card, he asked me to make him one with a lavender dinosaur. Not purple, but lavender. And I think he thought it would be a challenge for me, but I think I made it work. So I cut the dinosaur at 3 inches. And this lavender color is not on the Imagine War. It's not in the color palette. So I just Googled lavender RGB codes, and I found the RGB code for a color that I liked. I programmed it into my Imagine machine and then printed it out. And then, you know, the tummy part and the legs and stuff are from the Imagine. They're the same color as the background. So he has popped up on foam. And I also have this caption that says Rawr, and that's going to go kind of in my corner. This was cut at 1.5 inches. Let's see. So I'm going to use some liquid glue and glue down my dinosaur. I just want to hold it down for a minute because I have all this layering back here, so it's a little uneven. So I just want to hold it down to make sure that all of my foam adheres to the layers. And finally I have this small plant. This was cut at 1.5 inches. And I'm going to use some liquid glue because it has some tinier parts over here. I'm going to glue this right in front of my rock formation. Now for the inside of the card, I have another blue mat, but this one is cut at 6 3/4 of an inch by 4 3/4 of an inch. I have another strip. This is 6 3/4 of an inch by 1 inch. Again, to be my grass. And then I have my sentiment mat. And this was cut at, let me measure this again. Let's see. This is cut at 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then my white mat is cut at 5.5 by 3.5. And then I'm going to adhere this in the center of my background mat. Okay, I have a little bit of my tree base is popping up a little bit, so I'm going to add some liquid glue right to the bottom. Make sure that it's well adhered around the edges of the card. I'm going to open my card and I'm going to adhere this inside. now I have some cuts for the inside. I have this plant. This was cut at 3.5 inches. And it's very wide, as you can see, so I can't really fit the whole thing in because it's going to take up a lot of my room to write a message. So I'm going to bring it on the edge, and then I'll trim off the extra. I also have this second rock formation. This was cut at 2.5 inches, and it has the sentiment on it. It says, "You rock." So I'm going to adhere this one first. Place it right about there. And now I'll put this on the bottom. And I'll take my scissors and trim off my leaves. And then I'll ink them. I have another tiny plant. This one is cut at 1.5 inches as well, the same as on the front of the card. I'm going to stick it right in the corner. A little too much glue on there. So I cut this plant out again just for this inside leaf because I wanted a couple of extra leaves to put in the corner. So I cut it at 3.5 inches and then I cut it at 3 inches and it gave me this size leaf, which I think is a really good size for the inside of the card. So I'm just going to kind of lay it in the corner because I just want it to drape over my sentiment mat a little bit. And then I have the smaller one I'm going to position with it. I think I need to angle this one a little bit more. And then finally, I cut out some extra rocks. So I have a couple of small ones, and I'm going to place them around my plant. I'm going to use some liquid glue for that. And this will help give my plant a little bit more of a base. And I'm just going to kind of layer them on top of the, the bottom of the plant. Add one over here by my tree. So that is my finished dinosaur card. So we have a dinosaur on the front, and then we have the "You Rock" on the inside. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!